Welcome, beautiful soul. This is Lotus Sunlight Studio. Before we begin, I want you to notice something very carefully. Right now, as you are watching this, there is more happening inside of you than you realize. And today, while I explain this, I will also be working with a pre washed, scented, clear crystal. This crystal has already been cleansed, and I am using it to hold a stable frequency of positivity while pulling out dense negative patterns from your energy field. You don't have to do anything, just to stay present and observe, because real transformation does not begin outside, it begins inside of your system. Now, understand this, what is actually happening inside of us. Most people never stop to question it. You think you're making decision based on truth, based on logic, based on what makes sense, but in reality, most of what is running your life is not truth. It's a system made of four layers: mind, intellect, consciousness, and soul. And most people never go beyond these first two. The mind generates thought constantly, unfiltered, random, positive, negative, fearful, hopeful. It doesn't matter. Psychological researchers say the human mind generates somewhere between 6,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. It's mind's job to produce. Then the intellect comes in. It analyzes those thoughts, it gives them meaning, it builds logic around them. And once the intellect agrees with the thought, you start believing it, and you call it my thinking, my understanding, my decisions. But it was never truth, it was constructed. This is where illusion begins, and this is where most of us get trapped, because once you believe the thought, you act on it, and that action creates your reality, not truth. Just a reinforced illusion. This is why two people can live the same situation but experience completely different realities, because they are not living the truth, they are living the interpretations of the mind. Now, here is where deeper wisdom begins. Awareness does not think, it observes. It watches the thought without becoming it. It watches the intellect trying to justify without agreeing. And the soul does not react at all. Soul knows, but most people never reach that state because they're stuck in a loop. Mind create, intellect justify, you believe, you react again and again, repeatedly. And while this is happening, you think you are in control, you're not. So when you say, I had a thought and then I started thinking about it, no, the mind generated something, intellect got involved, and you got pulled into it. This is the illusion loop. And unless you break this, no external guidance, no deity, no energy will ever fully help you, because your system will keep distorting the truth. Even now, as I'm holding this crystal, its purpose is not to fix you, it's to support the removal of distortion. But you still have to see, you still have to recognize that is your work. So before we go into the reading, sit with this, look into this crystal, removing all the negativity from your energy field. Are you living from awareness? Think, or reacting from mind and intellect? Because the energies we are about to channel, they do not work with illusion, they work with the truth. So you need to be aware of that truth. We will talk about that later, but let's first start our reading. Let's see what messages are channeling today. Wow, the first card is Joan of Arc. This energy is not gentle, neither this energy is comforting. Joan of Arc is a patron saint of France, honored as a defender of the French nation for her role in the siege of Orleans and her insistence on the coronation of Charles VII of France during the Hundred Years' War. She received divine guidance of Archangel Michael, and she becomes a military leader who gained recognition as a savior of France. This is the frequency that burns through illusion. The energy of Joan of Arc is not about fighting the external world, it's about confronting the internal falsehood. You have to stand up for your beliefs. That doesn't mean that those beliefs are coming from outside. It could be internal. That's your internal falsehood. If you think sacred activist means standing for something outside, then you're misunderstanding this energy. It means standing against everything inside you that is not truth. The energy is showing that many of you are living in compromise. You know something is wrong, you feel it, but your intellect has created reasons to stay. Timing is not right, I need to think more, let me wait, all those reasons. This is not wisdom, this is fear wearing the mask of logic. And Joan of Arc energy cuts through that. It does not negotiate, it demands alignment. And energy is saying you are being called to act, but not from emotion, not from reaction, but from clarity. And clarity only comes when awareness is active. Right now, many of you are in a state where your soul already know the truth, but your mind and intellect are delaying the action. That delay is costing you your energy. Because when the truth is known and not acted upon, it creates internal conflicts. Conflict become anxiety, confusion, restlessness, not because you don't know what to do, but because you're not doing what you already know. This is where sacred activism begins. It's not rebellion, it's alignment. It's the moment you stop asking what will happen if I act and start asking what is true right now. This energy is also showing something deeper. Some of you have been waiting for a sign. This is the sign, but it will not come again in a louder form because higher energies do not repeat themselves to convince you, they present ones. And look at here. The second energy came with this is the blue beings, light transmission. This energy is completely different but connected. Where the first energy cuts, this one upgrades. The presence of the blue being is not symbolic, it's a transmission frequency. It works beyond thoughts, beyond intellect. It directly interacts with awareness. This is why some of you might feel stillness or even emptiness while connecting to this, because this energy does not feed the mind, it quiets it. So, this is what many people misunderstood about higher guidance. They expect messages in words, but real transmission happens in silence. Energy is showing that many of you are being prepared, not informed, but prepared for a shift where your current way of thinking will not work anymore. This is why confusion has been increasing, because your old mental patterns are breaking. But instead of allowing that, your intellect is trying to rebuild them. That is resistance. Blue beings energy is saying stop trying to understand everything, because understanding is a function of intellect, and intellect cannot process higher frequency truth, it can only distort it. This is where surrender becomes intelligence, not emotional surrender, but energetic surrender, where you allow the unknown without trying to define it. This energy is also activating something deeper in many of you, a sensitivity. You may start noticing energy more. Now, if I combine these two energies together, they are a process. First, destruction of illusion, then transmission of truth. If you try to receive the second without going through the first, it will not integrate. That is why many people feel spiritual highs but not real change, because they avoid confrontation. This reading is not allowing that. You are being pushed to see clearly and then expand beyond what you think you are. The question is not what is coming for me. The question is, are you ready to stop lying to yourself? Because the moment that happens, everything changes. As we were discussing before the reading, science says your mind generates 6,000 to 70,000 thoughts, correct, per day. Now imagine from the moment you were born till today, how many thoughts have passed through you, maybe millions, and your intellect has been sitting there justifying them, organizing them, making them feel real. This is not awareness, this is conditioning. Now I'm going to break one of the biggest lies told in spirituality. If someone tells you stop your thoughts to reach meditation, that is false. Run away from that person. Completely false. You cannot stop the mind, because generation of thought is mind's nature. Trying to stop is like trying to stop the ocean from producing waves. Impossible. So, what you do, you separate from it. Your goal is not to destroy the mind, your goal is to step out of its control. This is where consciousness comes in. Consciousness is not thinking, consciousness is seeing. When you become aware of a thought, you're no longer inside it, you're outside it. That is the first crack that you're putting into the illusion. Try this. Hold your breath, focus on your navel. Stay there as long as possible. Hold your breath as long as possible. Notice now what happened. Your mind pauses, your intellect lose control. For a moment, there is no dialogue. That gap, that silence, that is where consciousness starts emerging. This is why the navel center is considered a gateway, because it disconnects the upper loop of mind and intellect. Once you stabilize your awareness, you start observing thoughts instead of becoming them. You start seeing pattern instead of reaching to them, and slowly your consciousness start moving inwards towards your soul. Now this is not a reading you watch once. This is something you sit with. Let it work on you. Do not rush to understand, just observe what shifts inside. If you felt something, if something moved within you, don't ignore it. That is where your real guidance is. And if you're ready to go deeper, share your experience in the comments, because sometimes awareness expands the moment you express it. That's really important too. And I'll say thank you so much for sharing this sacred space with me. Stay blessed, and I will connect with you in the next reading. Thank you so much.